Now, I'm going to make it a little bit of an example here. I have said this before, but I'm going to remind you again. None of you listening to my voice know who your mother is. Understand that? Now, to explain that to you, when you were born, you were a little baby, 6 or 7 or 8 pounds, whatever your weight was. You didn't know even what you were when you were born. You didn't know that you were a human being. You didn't even know that you were a boy or a girl. You didn't know anything at all. You did not even know that you had just been born. You did not know that you'd spent the previous 9 months developing in your mother's womb. You didn't know anything at all. You had no ability on the day that you were born to recognize your mother. Now, you may have seen her. You may have been picked up and handed to your mother, and she may have put you to her breast to feed you, but you still didn't know what she was. You didn't know that she was your mother. You did not understand that you were her child. There is not any possibility that you could know who your mother was. Nobody knows who their mother was. Certainly not their father, 9 months removed. It's absolutely impossible for any human being to know who their mother was. I'm talking about, and I'm using the word know, K-N-O-W. I'm not saying for one moment that the man and woman who told you that they are your mother and father are not your mother and father. I'm not saying that at all. How would I know? I don't have any position to make such a statement as that. I'm not saying that they lied to you. No, I'm not. They probably told you the truth, although that's not always the case. There are many instances where men and women have presented themselves as being the mother and father of small children when they were not in any way the actual mother and father. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the majority of the situations where the mother and father who claimed that they were the mother and father were actually the mother and the father. And that's the vast majority. And the mother knows who her child is. The father is fairly certain most of the time that he is the father, but not always. But the child has no ability to know anything about who their mother is or the father is. I want you to make an intellectual acknowledgement of that fact in your head right now while I'm talking to you, that you cannot possibly know who your own mother is. Because I want to make a point on that. You can absolutely, positively, intellectually understand that you do not know who your mother is. And you can make the argument that I have been presenting to you here for the last few minutes to anyone that they don't know who their mother is, and that if the authorities ask you who your mother is, you can honestly insist that you don't know. I don't know who my mother is. Well, didn't your mother tell you? Some woman told me she was my mother, but I don't know that she was my mother. And just because she told me she was my mother doesn't cause me to know that she was my mother. And I do not have to tell you who she was because I don't know that she was my mother. And what she may have told you doesn't make it, or told me, doesn't make any difference. The point is, I don't know who my mother is. And you don't know who your mother is, no matter who you may be. You may strongly believe it. And again, I'm not saying the woman who told you she was mother is not your mother. That's not the point. My point is that although you can intellectually understand that you don't know who your mother is, if you were to be subjected to a lie detector test and the examiner were to ask you if you knew who your mother was, and you said no, that you did not know, telling the absolute truth, the lie detector machine would indicate that you were lying. What I'm talking about here is the susceptibility of your mind to indoctrination. You have been indoctrinated, you were indoctrinated as a small child to believe that the woman who told you she was your mother was your mother. That was indoctrination. There's anything wrong with indoctrination, necessarily. Indoctrination is the condition of the human mind when it is presented information for which it has no previously acquired frame of reference. You now know that 2 plus 2 is 4. You know that. You have learned that, and you know from experience, using numbers, you are absolutely certain, absolutely positive that 2 plus 2 is 4. So if someone were to tell you that 2 plus 2 is 5, you would know that they were bonkers. And you would never, ever accept it. But when you were learning about numbers, you did not have a frame of reference. And when you were taught that 2 plus 2 was 4, you just accepted it because you were learning all about numbers during that period of your life. But now you're quite a bit older than that, and you've been using numbers for many, many years, so now you have a frame of reference that you can judge about whether 2 plus 2 is 4 or not. And if someone were to tell you, well, that you actually were wrong, everything you ever learned about numbers that 2 plus 2 is 4 is wrong, you would know that this guy's an idiot because 2 plus 2 is always going to be 4 because now you have a frame of reference. So if someone would be trying to teach you that 2 plus 2 is 5, that would not be indoctrination, that would be brainwashing. Brainwashing and indoctrination are not the same. Indoctrination is the condition of the human mind when it does not have a previously acquired frame of reference. So when we were small children, we were indoctrinated to believe that this woman who told us she was our mother is our mother, and we have that so deeply ingrained into us that no matter that we can now intellectually understand that there's no possible way that we can actually know who our mother is, our physical entity is nonetheless going to react in a lie detector test situation to indicate that we are lying if we say we don't know who our mother is.